Daniel Hernandez, or 6ix9ine as he's known online, has had a challenging life. Despite the wealth he flaunts and the numbers he puts up, he's had various problems at his doorstep. These vary from petty beef online to prison charges that could have seen him face 47 years. But how did a kid who was seen as shy and timid become the clout-hungry person we know today? To answer that, we need to go back to Bushwick, the neighborhood in Brooklyn that a young Daniel could call his home. He was born May 8, 1996 to mother Natividad Perez Hernandez and father Daniel Hernandez Sr. Daniel's first hurdle in life arrived very early on, as his dad would abandon his family, a departure that forced his mother to shoulder the burden of raising Daniel and his siblings. Despite this setback, Daniel remained a good kid. He and his brother were raised in a church, and during this time, he was described as shy and timid. His mom would meet a new guy who became Daniel's stepdad. He played a pivotal role in Daniel's change in the future. But for now, Daniel's attending public school 59 for elementary and then Juan Morales Campos for middle school. Around this time, Daniel faced another massive hurdle. Sometime in 2010, when Daniel was just 13, his stepdad was shot and killed right outside of their home. This loss spiraled Daniel into a depression, causing him not to eat, speak, or shower. He also started to lash out to the point where he was expelled from school in the 8th grade. Instead of continuing school, he decided to work odd jobs to help his family. On top of working, Daniel enjoyed annoying people and picking fights on Instagram, as most of his friends used to be his enemy. Sometime in the early 2010s, Daniel started to mess with his soon-to-be friend Andrew Green by trolling him on Instagram. This trolling got to the point where Andrew pulled up looking to fight Daniel. Nothing ended up happening, but 2 weeks later, they met up. After becoming friends, Daniel shared his master plan with Andrew. He would rap under the name Tekashi 6ix9ine. Daniel released his first song in 2014 with the creative title 6ix9ine. The song didn't bring much attention to Daniel, but it did mark the transition from Daniel to Tekashi 6ix9ine. After filming the music video, which has been deleted off of YouTube, Tekashi tatted himself with his recognizable 6ix9ines, further cementing his transition. He kept making music that didn't gain a huge audience for about 3 years. However, he encountered his first controversy in 2015. 6ix9ine was 18 at this time, and he linked up with a fellow rapper. They both went to a trap house located in Harlem to film a music video, but they ended up filming something else. They had made sex tapes with a girl who was only 13. Not only did they film him, but 6ix9ine also posted it on his Instagram. This led to the girl's mother seeing the video and reporting it to the police. 6ix9ine was arrested and had his bail set at $100,000. He then spent a few months in Rikers Island jail. 6ix9ine's lawyer managed to make a deal. If 6ix9ine pled guilty, he would be released on 1-year probation. He also had other requirements he had to follow, like avoid getting arrested, complete 300 hours of community service, get his GED, and write the girl and her family an apology. 6ix9ine tried moving away from the situation as quick as possible, but there was still one loose end that would come haunt him in the future. Apparently, Zilla Kami, one of Daniel's friends, chipped in to help pay 6ix9ine's bill, but then he later accused 6ix9ine of stealing the money. 6ix9ine denied it and started to taunt Zilla. After this, 6ix9ine kept focusing on his career. At times, 6ix9ine and Andrew would buy one-way tickets to California to do features, allowing them to buy a ticket back home. By 2017, 6ix9ine's work paid off as he was gaining interest from labels. The first label to show interest was 10K Projects. The CEO, Elliot Grange, saw 6ix9ine's potential and put him on his radar. 6ix9ine's breakthrough finally came when Trippie Redd invited 6ix9ine to California to feature on his song, Pulse 1469. This song had major success, going gold, and it put 6ix9ine's potential on display. After showcasing what he's able to do, labels started scrambling to sign 6ix9ine. He ended up signing to 10K Projects because he was offered total creative control. After being signed, 6ix9ine instantly got back to work with Andrew and his other good friend Wizard. The three of them sifted through hundreds of beats until they found one produced by Pierre Bourne. This beat was meant for Trippie Redd, but apparently Trippie gave it to 6ix9ine. This beat would later become 6ix9ine's breakout song, Gummo. The lyrics were co-written by Andrew, and it depicted armed robbery. 6ix9ine's angry and hype vocals meshed well with Pierre's beat, which created a very angry and unique song. The group of three worked on the single song for about 4 months until they felt it was finished. After the song was finished, they showed it to Elliot, who wanted to shelve it because he believed this style of rap wasn't for 6ix9ine. But 6ix9ine had complete creative control, so he didn't really care. The only thing left to do was film a music video. While on set, 6ix9ine met a man who would change his life. That man was Kafano Jordan, known as Shotty. Shotty was a member of the 9th Grade Bloods. 6ix9ine and Shotty became friends that day, and 6ix9ine would soon make Shotty his unofficial manager. Before doing this, Tekashi finally uploaded Gummo to YouTube on October 8, 2017. This song blew up, going double platinum in just 1 year. However, there was one person that didn't like this: Trippie Redd. Apparently, the beat for Gummo was actually stolen from Trippie, not gifted. But this wasn't actually the real reason why they started beefing with each other. You remember when I said 6ix9ine left one loose end in his 2015 case? Well, that loose end comes to haunt him now. Zilla Kami was still pretty angry about how 6ix9ine treated him back in 2015. So, Zilla decided to post all about 6ix9ine's 2015 sexual harassment case. Trippie Redd saw all this information about 6ix9ine and all the negative attention that he was gaining, so he decided to disassociate with 6ix9ine. But the way he ended with 6ix9ine came off as a bit arrogant. He did this by posting this video.
I'm sorry, brother. 6ix9ine don't promote pedophiles.
After posting that video, they both went after each other. This beef lasted for around 6 months, and I like to talk about everything that happened throughout it, but I feel like it would take too long, so I'm just gonna move past it. But there was one important thing that came out of this situation. 6ix9ine's reputation has already taken a hit, and this reputation he acquired over the years would soon attribute to his downfall in the future. But at this time, 6ix9ine couldn't care about his reputation. All he cared about was becoming more popular and more viral. Around this time, 6ix9ine finally figured out his formula. The more gangster he acted, and the more street cred he had, the more popular he would become. With this in mind, 6ix9ine tried keeping the momentum from Gummo going, as he would release Coda on December 3rd, 2017. This song was pretty similar to Gummo, and the music video included actual gang members. This song also blew up and helped 6ix9ine keep his popularity. Fast forwarding to February 23rd, 2018, and 6ix9ine finally drops his long-awaited mixtape, Day 69. In the short time of releasing Coda and dropping his first mixtape, 6ix9ine got himself into a decent amount of problems. He started beefing with another rapper, Casanova. This beef didn't start out as much, but it would soon escalate to a huge problem around April. And also, 6ix9ine's beef with Trippie Redd was still ongoing, and this beef only continued to get more serious. 6ix9ine also released another hit song on January 14th, 2018. This song was titled Kiki, and it also had a feature with Kodak Black. All these problems I mentioned so far aren't too serious, but 6ix9ine would do something serious around this time. In January 6, 2018, 6ix9ine did something very dumb. He decided to choke out one of his fans who was only 16 at this time. He did this because he was walking in a mall and the kid decided to film him. 6ix9ine for some reason got mad and decided to choke him out. He repeatedly told the kid to delete the video, and when the kid did, he finally let go. 6ix9ine would get arrested for this situation in July, but he was released shortly after because the victim decided not to press any charges. If I'm being honest, this situation was swept under the rug, but with it out of the way now, 6ix9ine can enjoy the success of his first mixtape. Day 69 had pretty good success. It debuted at number 4 on the US Billboard 200. This mixtape sold around 55,000 units in the first week. This number turned into 500,000 and it became certified gold. This mixtape was made up of 11 songs, 3 of which became wildly successful. These 3 are Gummo, Coda, and Billy. Just these 3 songs alone had over 1 billion views on YouTube. 6ix9ine would also release his deluxe version of his previous mixtape, Day 69 Graduation Day. This mixtape only had 1 extra song, and that song was Gotti. And there was 1 more song on this mixtape, but it was exclusive to the Japanese version. This song was titled Tati, and it would soon be released to the rest of the world on May 27, 2018, as the lead single for 6ix9ine's first studio album. Although everything is looking up for 6ix9ine, behind the scenes nothing good was happening. You remember that man I mentioned earlier, Shotty? Well, Shotty introduced 6ix9ine to a life of violence, to the point where 6ix9ine was involved with many physical altercations throughout 2018. The first major altercation happened on February 21st, 2018. This altercation happened at an LAX airport, and it was apparently caused because 6ix9ine disrespected a group of women. After doing this, a huge brawl ensued. 6ix9ine and his crew were dragged out onto the street and a fight happened. Right after this fight finished, 6ix9ine said this to TMZ.
To ask, this weekend, a few social media posts.
Yeah.
You might be aware of this. There was guys looking for you based on your social media posts.
Yeah.
Does that make you nervous?
Not at all. See, I'm moving, calm and whatever, you know what I'm saying? So cool,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I gotta keep a smile on my face, you know what I'm saying?
Not only was 6ix9ine getting into fights, but he was also getting threatened by local gang members. 6ix9ine would disrespect the gangs on social media to the point where their members would respond back. 6ix9ine didn't pay too much attention to these threats, and he would move on from this situation. Another major altercation involving 6ix9ine happened in April 2018. 6ix9ine and Casanova's beef kept escalating until it hit a climax. Both of them were at Barclays Center, and their crews ended up fighting each other in the hallways. This altercation wasn't too serious, but then one of 6ix9ine's crew decided to pull out a gun and fire it. Luckily, no one got hit, but the person who fired the shot would serve 85 months in prison. This situation would be the final nail in the coffin, as 6ix9ine's reputation is now linked with violence, to the point where no one in the industry wants to work with him. Luckily for 6ix9ine, there was still one more artist that would give him a shot, and that was Nicki Minaj. Nicki and 6ix9ine got to work immediately, and they released a song titled Fifi. This song became the biggest piece of 6ix9ine's career, not because it became 6ix9ine's biggest song, but because of what happened to 6ix9ine the day it released. On July 22nd, 2018, 6ix9ine was kidnapped by two fellow gang members. From what I read, there's two reasons why 6ix9ine was kidnapped. The first reason was because 6ix9ine was using the 9 Trey Bloods to become more popular, and some members got mad at that. And the second reason goes back to earlier 2018, where 6ix9ine was set to perform at a showcase, but executives from another label didn't allow him to perform. Surprisingly, 6ix9ine let this slide, but there was one member of the 9 Trey Bloods that didn't like this, and he ended up mocking 6ix9ine, and he would become the person that kidnapped 6ix9ine. At 4:30 a.m. on July 22nd, 2018, 6ix9ine and his driver were bumped by another car while cruising around in Brooklyn. Two guys got out of their car, and they started heading towards 6ix9ine, and here's the video of it actually happening.
Run it, nigga. Give me everything, nigga. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get in the car. Get in the car. Get in the car, nigga. Get in the car, nigga. Chill. What you mean?
Now that 6ix9ine was in their car, they began taunting and beating him. Despite 6ix9ine giving all his money and jewelry to the kidnappers still didn't let 6ix9ine go. Instead, they drove to a random street and were planning to kill 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine moved on from the situation fairly quickly, and in the following 3 months, he released 2 other songs and finally dropped his long-awaited studio album. But I'm not gonna lie, all of this isn't too important, so I'm just gonna skip past it. But in November 2018, 6ix9ine's life would definitely change forever. After cutting ties with the 9 Trey Bloods in November, only 2 days after doing this, 6ix9ine and his fellow associates were arrested on firearm charges and racketeering charges. Shortly after being arrested, 6ix9ine made up his mind. He would snitch on everybody else, as he said this on the Impulsive podcast.
I got locked up. I watched Lone Survivor, and I was like, I'm definitely snitching, right? and then, no, seriously.
So from the jump,
from the jump, I'm
you
like,
lay down and you were stuffing your pillow. You're like, nah, it ain't gonna be long.
The snitching started in February 2019, and it would last all the way to September 2019. Because 6ix9ine did this, he was given a lighter sentence. He was sentenced to 24 months in prison instead of the 47 years he was originally facing. Luckily for 6ix9ine, he only served around 4 months of that sentence because of the pandemic. One of the first things 6ix9ine would do when he got released was announce it, as he would go live on Instagram and break the record for the most concurrent viewers at the time. And at this time, he was probably one of the most hated people on the internet because people did not respect him for snitching. But 6ix9ine didn't care, and he actually labeled himself as a rat, as in his next music video, Cuba, he actually portrayed himself as a rap. And the song blew up. It had around 75 million views on YouTube in just 2 days. It also proved that 6ix9ine can maintain the audience he once had. 6ix9ine would go back to back with big songs, as he would release Trolls with Nicki Minaj in June. Aside from releasing his second studio album on September 4th, 2020 wasn't too busy with 6ix9ine, so I'm just gonna move past this year. The same thing cannot be said about 2021 though. 6ix9ine was involved in many controversies this year, and most of them cost him a lot of money. The first controversy in this year happened early on, as 6ix9ine and Meek Mill almost got into a fight with each other at a club in Atlanta. Apparently, 6ix9ine was waiting for Meek Mill at the parking lot to ambush him, but Meek Mill had security around him. So instead of fighting, they were separated and just threw insults at each other. And when 6ix9ine tried leaving, apparently Meek spat on him. This situation wasn't too important, but just 1 week later, 6ix9ine was at a club in Miami, and he ended up throwing a champagne bottle at a dancer's head. The bottle wasn't actually meant for the dancer. It was instead intended for someone who called him a rat. But when 6ix9ine threw it, he ducked, and it accidentally hit the dancer on the head. The dancer sustained serious head injuries, and because of this, she was transported to the nearest hospital. After recovering, she ended up suing 6ix9ine, and 6ix9ine for some reason didn't show up to court. Because of this, she was awarded $10 million. Although the beginning of 2021 was a bit rocky for 6ix9ine, the rest of the year would go more into his favor, as he wouldn't get into any other big controversies and would just release new music. So I'm just going to skip past this year and move on into 2022. If I'm being honest, I'm not going to talk about 2022 because it's not important, but I will talk about the next 3 years in under 3 minutes because I feel like this video is dragging on, starting now. To start off 2023, he was jumped in a gym in Florida. He got beat pretty badly, and he would go on to sue the gym for not providing adequate security. From the one suing to the one being sued, 6ix9ine would have to pay $9.8 million to the dancer he hit with a champagne bottle back in 2021. But apparently 6ix9ine still hasn't paid the full amount, and apparently he's hiding assets from her so he doesn't have to pay it. He would also release a third album, but this was in a different style. Instead of being aggressive, it was in a reggaeton style. And if I'm being honest, I had no idea this album existed, and I don't think most people do. To wrap up this year, 6ix9ine would end up assaulting 2 producers from the Dominican Republic because they were spending too much time with his girlfriend and he got jealous at that. I think it's important to mention that 6ix9ine's girlfriend is a singer, so there was no reason to actually fight those producers because I think it's pretty normal for them to be together because they're just probably working on music. But 6ix9ine does what he does, so he could have avoided this, but I guess not. Now in 2024, 6ix9ine was bombarded with legal issues as he would be arrested in the Dominican Republic for assaulting those 2 producers. He was ordered not to leave the Dominican Republic for at least 6 months, but 6ix9ine violated this and went to the United States. Because of this, a court in the Dominican Republic issued an international arrest warrant against him in August. 6ix9ine would also get raided by the IRS for some unpaid taxes and would have some of his assets auctioned off, including jewelry, cars, and even his plaques. He would also be sued 2 times this year, the first one being from a vape company because he didn't promote them enough, and the second one being from his ex-girlfriend because she accused him of being physically and mentally abusive throughout the whole relationship. To end off 2024, 6ix9ine was arrested once again for violating the terms of his supervised release, which included lying to his probation officer, not showing up to a drug test, and testing positive for methamphetamine. Because 6ix9ine did this, he was given 45 days in federal prison. And on to 2025. Although we're only 7 months deep into this year, going on 8, 6ix9ine got himself into a decent amount of problems. First of which, his Florida mansion was raided by the police, which they found drugs in. Because of this raid, 6ix9ine was summoned into court in July 23rd, 2025, and he actually pled guilty to the drug possession charges, and he will be sentenced in September of this year. So get ready to hear about 6ix9ine for like the next 2 to 3 months.